In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, be advised that a notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board in Town Hall and forwarding to the official designated newspapers that this meeting would take place at Town Hall at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, January 21st, 2020. Please all stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Bursky? Here. Ms. Purvis?
Here.
Ms. Eglo?
Here.
Mr. Wasserman?
Here.
Mayor Lieberberg?
Here.
Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I'd like to invite Lynn Ranieri for the Community Service Award and Jennifer Duckworth.
Thank you. Jennifer, will you come up with me?
Jen will be the 85th recipient of the Community Service Award, which has been awarded since 1991 in the township, and it's given to people who have done extraordinary or significant volunteer service that benefits the quality of life in our community and the surrounding area. The members of the committee are Marilyn Atlas Burney, Elaine Becker, Judith Fredman, Laura Janae, Jennifer Mann Rosenblatt, David Siegfried, and Daniel Cannon, and myself. And I'd like to introduce Jennifer, and she serves on the Millburn Township Environmental Commission. Oh, I'm sorry, I just read that. From 2011 to the present time, she served on the Essex County Environmental Commission, and of which she was the chair from 2013 to the present. Around 2014, Jennifer served on the Rahway River Advisory Board, which she helped organize in reaction to the Army Corps of Engineers' plan to put a dam in the reservation. Jennifer served on the boards of Green Faith, a statewide group that promotes environmental stewardship, the Cora Hartshorn Arboretum Board for 4 years. She started the Green Team and the PTO Safety Committee, served on the Board of Ed Strategic Planning Committee, managed the Millburn High School freshman soccer team, brought Complete Streets policy to town, helped start the Pedestrian Safety Committee. She was a Yellow Star volunteer for Sea Turtle Recovery, about which she taught computers at Millburn High School's Adult School. Since July 23rd, she has worked at Tetra Tech and is one of the writers of her company's hazard mitigation plan. Jennifer said she felt she owed it to the world to use her education, and I'm sure you will agree that we and the world we live in are very fortunate to be the beneficiaries of her incredible volunteer service. Jennifer's award.
Whereas the Millburn Township Committee values the contributions of volunteers in the township and wants to recognize those who have performed outstanding volunteer service that enhances our quality of life, and whereas since moving to the township in 2001, Jennifer Sacker Duckworth has actively served our community and its members in a variety of capacities. Whereas Jennifer Sacker Duckworth has used her professional expertise to to address environmental issues for the township and beyond, serving multiple terms of the Township Environmental Commission, including several years as chair, serving on the Essex County Environmental Commission since 2011, and as co-chair since 2013, being an organizer of the Rawway River Watershed Advisory Board, and serving as member of the Board of Green Faith, a nonprofit for environmental action. Whereas Jennifer Sacker Duckworth has supported the children of the township through her work on Millburn School Green Team, the PTO Conference Safety Committee, Board of Ed Strategic Planning Committee. And whereas Jennifer Sacker Duckworth has made our committee safer through her efforts of Complete Streets Ad Hoc Committee and is PTO Conference representative for the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board. Jennifer has also contributed to the life of our community through service on the board of the Cora Hartshorn Arboretum, as an Essex County Master Gardener, and through a variety of other activities. I therefore now, Jackie Benjamin Lieberberg, Mayor of Township of Millburn, on behalf of members of the Township Committee, on this 21st day of January, extend thanks and appreciation to Jennifer for her selfless dedication to the community and for providing an inspiration to her.
I wanted to thank the Community Service Award Committee for this nomination, and Elaine and Lynn and David, who worked on this, and for the recognition that you provided for me. I owe my accomplishments to the power of family, friends, and colleagues who have all worked together to be good stewards of the community. And so I want to just note some other things that people might not realize that we all worked together on over the years. So starting in 2005, that we did clean up Millburn, and it was Vic Bennis and Martine who left us too soon. And we installed anti-idling signs. Sandy, Sam, David, and Carrie worked on getting those promoted. The Millburn Green Challenge, Andrew and Kristen, they're long gone. Also, the Millburn School Strategic Planning Team working with Kim. The Millburn Environmental Commission over the years, Sandy and Mary, Liz and Lisa that worked on it. And the Green Team, Renee and Ellen, who took over. Millburn Bike Day was Dan and Paul. And the Cora Hartshorn Arboretum was Regina, Eric, Melissa, and Lisa. I'm just saying first names, they know who they are. The Save Us from the PetSmart Hotel, I don't know if people remember that, but we started a committee to get Trader Joe's to come in instead of having a PetSmart hotel, and that was Jenny I worked on with that. And the PTOC leadership, Catherine and Karen, recognized that we needed to build a green team, a Millburn Schools green team, now led by Priya and Lillian, and the School Safety Committee with Catherine, Stephanie, Tiffany, Meg, Mara, and Corinne, and the School Strategic Planning Committee working with Kim, and the Farm and Fork Society, Melissa, and I'm sure I'm forgetting people, but there's also some other people who raise up the people around us in the community. In the Interfaith Food Pantry, Orange is working with Jody, and the Interfaith Hospitality working with Sharon. We see the same cases again and again. Thank you to the Township Committee and over all the years, and the great staff, and Alex and Christine and Martha. And I want to offer to everyone to continue to fight for clean water and open space, and to keep areas that are zoned for conservation to remain zoned for conservation, and to fight for our trees because they're very valuable, and to promote planned transit centers and complete green streets so that we can encourage opportunities for the young and to be safe for people to age in place. And thank you to everybody who works together for making Millburn a great place to live and work. Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve the December 17th Township Committee minutes?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? May I have a motion to approve the December 17th Special Township Committee minutes?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second. Oh, I second.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Any abstentions?
Right. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So now it's time for some committee reports. I can start, and then we'll go down the line. So CETA met on January 17th to continue our discussions regarding a community art sculpture installation for Taylor Park that is reflective of the community. We are in the beginning stages of this artistic engagement, and consensus from the committee was to include the mill wheel theme as a necessary component in the artistic piece. Happy to report that the Parcel House renovation project for an ADA compliant restroom is underway. And I'm grateful that the township secured a grant that assisted in the funding of this project. The internship program that began last year, we will be assembling specs for town hall interns for the spring and continuing into the summer and following the school year. We had great success with our previous candidate, award-winning for our recycling video, and we will partner with Millburn High School students again to emulate our previous success. We will begin to announce the application process probably right around the second week of February. There will be a special referendum election on January 28th for the Millburn Public Schools. We have some material that the Board of Ed has provided on the table on the side. I would also encourage you all to check out the website, www.millburn.org/C&MP. Polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Congressman Tom Malinowski will be hosting a town hall event Saturday, January 25th at 1:30 at Millburn High School. All residents are invited and encouraged to attend. Turtleback Zoo. There are some scheduled meetings to discuss the proposed expansion, including one this evening at the Essex County Police Academy in Cedar Grove. I emailed those constituents that expressed their concern to inform them of tonight's meeting at 7 p.m. At the table also, there is a schedule of meetings of the Essex County freeholders and correspondence from the county executive's office regarding the plan. I encourage all residents to reach out to the freeholders. I will also contact the county to find out when the next meeting is regarding the zoo, and we'll share it on the township website. Committee reports. Richard.
Committee reports. So this is my first one. So, so I just want to mention that I was in touch with Cheryl Snyder from the schools about the middle school bridge. I was every day when I go to work, I see that it hasn't been maintained that well. I mean, if you pass the bridge at all, you'll see that it's not in great condition. So I wrote to her. She wrote me back, and I involved our township administrator, and she sent me a note saying that they plan on maintaining the bridge. It's going to be, I don't know whether it's going to be scraped or painted. They can't, but it will be maintained, and I'm excited to report that hopefully this summer, in conjunction with the township, that the bridge will be maintained. One last piece of business is that Deputy Mayor Prupis and I met with the police chief. We discussed aggressive driving in the township. We discussed having more police presence in the downtown. I think it's going to be an ongoing, endeavor. But I'm really proud of our police, and their heart's in a great place. And I think that this is something that we're going to work on and we're going to accomplish.
Thank you, Richard. Diane?
PACS met, but we'll be talking about that later, so no other reports.
Thank you.
I have no reports.
I
Sure.
went to the joint, what is it called, the 911?
Dispatch.
Joint dispatch, thank you, and they're in the process of, their executive director has moved on, I guess he moved to Utah. So they're in the process of looking for a new executive director, and interviews, I think, are underway. The library has not had a meeting of the Board of Trustees yet, but they are going fine-free for a 6-month trial. Daily late fees will be eliminated, and borrowers will be charged full replacement value for any item overdue by 90 days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
County Representative. George Serio.
Good evening, Mayor. 2 announcements. This yesterday being Martin Luther King Day, tomorrow is an exciting event. The county executives will be having a press conference down at the Hall of Records at 2 p.m. To announce groundbreaking of the Martin Luther King Jr. building that will be constructed adjacent to the Hall of Records. The governor will be there, so all are invited to attend that press event. Also, the Senior Legacies Writing Contest is available now for seniors age 16 over. It's conducted every year by the Division of Senior Services. The rules are on the Essex County NJ website, and the deadline is Monday, March 16th. And that's my report.
Thank you. Yes, Kit.
Quick report. On January 3rd, Judge Gardner held a hearing in connection with the Chatham Road project, the inclusionary affordable housing project. Based upon the recommendation of the Special Master Frank Banish, the testimony that was taken at that time, he approved the settlement, and he has also used the occasion to hold a case management conference in connection with the litigation that has been brought by the concerned residents challenging the settlement, and he set out a schedule for discovery. We're in the midst of exchanging documents. We have interrogatories, there'll be depositions taken and so forth. So more to follow as that unfolds.
Thank you. Alex.
Just one brief report. I'd like to announce that the township is going to start an informal technical review committee on February 12th. Will be our first date. This committee is going to consist of the zoning officer, the engineer, planner, and anyone that might be beneficial in sort of assisting commercial properties through the process. We will be asking those that are interested to go through it to sign up a week in advance so that we know that there will be people on the schedule. Again, it's going to be for commercial properties only, but it will be a good step in sort of trying to assist those property owners or people looking to occupy a space through that process. So that's February 12th that we're going to be starting.
Thank you. Now time for public comment. When invited to speak, please come to the lectern, clearly state your name and address, and speak into the podium microphone so that your comments can be understood by all and properly recorded. Whenever an audience or committee member reads from a prepared statement, please give a copy or email a copy to our township clerk, C. Gaddy, at millburntwp.org. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. The timer has been calibrated to count down and buzz at 2.5 minutes, which allows each speaker enough time to complete their comments within the 3-minute time frame. This is a business meeting, and please do not address professionals or staff directly, but all comments are directed to me. Thank you. Would anybody like to speak?
Hi, Debbie Fox, 78 Mountain View Road. Just as an FYI, when I was on the Board of Ed, there was an agreement reached between the paper mill and the Board of Ed that the paper mill owed the schools back rent for the parking lot that was sort of jointly used. And we're gonna forego the rent, and they were gonna spend a lot of money, like $100,000 or something, to fix that bridge. And I thought they did, but they didn't. So I think that should be looked into.
I don't.
How many
maybe
years ago
Alex
was
can-
that? Do you know?
When was I on the Board of Ed? I mean, there's other people in town that might remember more, but I remember us having that discussion and voting on it. So it was probably about 10 years ago, maybe?
Okay. We'll certainly look into that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, my name is Carol Bianchi, and I'm your External Affairs Consultant from JCP&L.
Yes.
So, nice to see everybody.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to come introduce myself. My role, I've been working closely with your administrator. I'm available to you, the committee. We work on a number of things together, lighting issues, poles, whatever needs to be escalated, whatever needs to be addressed. It's been a pleasure working with Alex. I just wanted to also let the residents know that we have many sources of information on our website at jcp-l, or you can go to First Energy and get into the Jersey Central Power and Light website. And on that, you can click on My Towns, which is a good feature, and it will give you much information about what's going on in Millburn. There you would learn things such as that you have 6 substations, 90 miles of distribution lines, 3,469 poles, 22 circuits, and 8,129 customers who are served. And I was very happy when I clicked on the My Towns page to see that there are 0 residents out of power. That always makes me very happy. So I just wanted to let everyone know about that. Also, on there you will see features or resources where if you are out of lights, you should call the 800 number, 888-LIGHTS. If you need service or you see something that's not right, you can call the 800 number, 662-3115, or you can report it online. Many of our customers like the text alerts, particularly during outages. But again, if you go to the website, you can actually look at the map and zoom in and see where the outages are and what the estimated time of restoration is. So I just wanted to let everyone know about that. With regard to reliability, we follow a schedule, monitoring and inspecting our circuits on a routine schedule. So based upon those inspections, we routinely make improvements where needed. So just by way of example, and without getting into the details, we're doing a flood mitigation project that was approved by the Board of Public Utilities, and that will be on the Canoe Brook substation. And we've been working with your administrator and notified the committee it'll be going before the planning board. And that'll be a significant investment by JCP&L in Millburn. So those are just a few things I wanted to share with you and let you know that I'm available to work with you. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you.
Nice to
Thank
see you all.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak? On to the consent agenda items. Are there any comments from the committee or public in regard to
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Didn't we, at our last meeting, appoint a chair of the Environmental Commission?
Yeah, she had stepped down and someone else is taking the leadership role
So she resigned.
as chair.
As
She's
chair.
still gonna, she's gonna remain on the board, but she's going to step down as chair.
Okay. Well, okay, I don't know that we all had that information.
Are there comments from the committee or public in regard to the items listed on the consent agenda?
Yes, I have 2 questions. On 20-041, the execution of the 2020 cost-sharing agreement, I think we should explain that. I don't know if people know what that is. And also on the parcel house, 20-044, so it's $47,000 for the bathroom, but the grant is $34,000?
That's correct.
So
Yes.
that's great.
Yep.
Okay, so maybe Alex, you want to explain the cost sharing for the Roy River watershed flood control?
Yeah, so the Mayor's Council for Rahway River Watershed Control is a group that the township has been a part of for quite some time now, probably since 2010. However, the group contributes money to that cause to lobby and work towards solution of the Rahway River flood mitigation projects. They've been working with the Army Corps of Engineer, our federal representatives, and also now kind of getting into the state representatives and at the county level. The group consists of Springfield, Kenilworth, Rahway, Cranford, Maplewood, Millburn, and now the counties as well. There is a contribution that goes along with that. Millburn contributes $10,000 to that, and the other contributions vary based on their areas of impact. For instance, Maplewood does not contribute quite as much with the limited amount of the Rahway that they have in their boundaries. They contribute $5,000. So it's been a group that is sort of working toward and navigating flood mitigation projects. We are the lead. The Township of Millburn is the lead on that. We collect the money and distribute the money for the group.
Did you say the county's going to be contributing money now?
I don't know. I'm just that they're involved in it. Yeah.
Okay.
Where before it had been sort of among the municipalities, I think the county is going to be, both counties, Union and Essex, will be a little bit more involved. I don't know if they're going to be contributing money though.
Any resolution on the meeting between Essex and Union County?
Not to my knowledge. I understand that there is a meeting set for February 5th at the Galloping Hills Golf Course.
Do any other committee members have any questions regarding the consent agenda items? May I have a motion to approve Resolution 20-039 through Resolution 20-049, which are listed on the consent agenda?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Burstein?
Yes.
Ms. Prupus?
Yes.
Ms. Eglo?
Yes.
Mr. Wasserman?
Yes.
Mayor Beaverwood?
Yes.
Thank you.
Does any committee member have an item of old business to address? New business. I'd like to begin with the recommendation from the PACS Committee, which is the Pedestrian and Circulation Traffic Safety Ad Hoc. But before we begin talking about the recommendations, I'd like to give you a little bit of a brief background regarding the committee. When the completion of the streetscape project, new issues had to be addressed. Among them were the increased traffic congestion during peak morning and evening hours going eastbound on Millburn Avenue, heading towards Main Street, as well as going northbound on Main Street, heading towards the center of town. In addition, there was an increase of side swipes and fixed object collisions at the intersection of Millburn Avenue and Main Street, as well as difficulty with trucks turning at that key location. For this reason, in 2019, Diane Eglo formed an ad hoc committee to investigate these problems with the hopes of finding viable solutions. The ad hoc consists of 2 township committee members, 3 township residents, a planning board representative, a downtown property manager, a downtown merchant, the township's business administrator, and the assistant township engineer, along with other staff as needed. The ad hoc also benefited from the guidance of a traffic engineer to further investigate and study the recommendations that were being presented. We are very grateful to Diane for spearheading this initiative. We are also grateful for the support of the ad hoc committee members for their tireless work and dedication to the project. These are their proposals which are under consideration tonight. Revise and reduce the size of the bump outs on the southeast and southwest corners of the intersection of Millburn and Main. The reinstatement of a dedicated right turn lane on Millburn Avenue approaching Main Street. Revision of the flexible parking on Millburn Avenue and to a traditional curb parking. The members have also brought attention to 2 other issues. An alternate location or solution to the mid-block crosswalk at the Dunkin' Donuts, and the Town Hall Plaza entrance from Essex Street, and an innovative design has presented that will improve traffic flow, increase parking for about 16 additional spaces. Should a consensus be reached tonight, we will direct our Township Administrator, Mr. McDonald, to proceed with the preparation of construction documents and bid specs, further vetting current cost estimates that the township has had, and formulating the funding ordinance to be presented to the Township Committee at a future date. We are also very much committed to having public information sessions about the proposed work and keep our residents updated throughout the process leading up to the bid. Although we have started to formulate some ideas about mitigating impacts for the construction, such as bidding an overnight work option, we will also welcome the opportunity to hear from those that have constructive ideas, concerns, or questions. Again, tonight is meant to formulate a commitment, if desired, from this Township Committee to proceed with the necessary work to see that these important revisions take place. We will encourage community outreach and participation. I'd like to start with Diane Edlow on her comments on this as one of the chair people formerly.
Okay, so we all received a letter from a resident, and I don't know if you all had a chance to read it, but because of sunshine law, we can't respond. So this was actually very important. This is from two residents who said, and I'll give this to Christine to put in the record, "It is our firm recommendation that absolutely nothing in capitals, reconstruction-wise, should be done to downtown Millburn. Everything works in a satisfactory manner, and we find many characteristics of the current state of affairs which are far superior in capital letters to what we had years ago. In our opinion, everything has improved dramatically. Nothing needs to be changed. Also, New Jersey is among the very highest tax states in the Union, and these street, sidewalk, and related alterations, reconstructions, which are unnecessary to begin with, will only raise our very burdensome taxes dramatically," capital letters. Also, if there is indecision or various opinions with regard to this issue, in bold, we continue, "it is then imperative that this issue be decided with a referendum, and not by a unilateral, dictatorial decision by a few people." My first year on the committee, I did bring forth to the committee at that point in time to put a referendum out to the public. And I thought that was really important, that it shouldn't be left up to the five of us. We had a survey, there seemed to be consensus. Now, a lot has changed in many years. And I would put forth to the committee and the mayor, is this something we want to look at, putting a referendum out to the public? Because it is a very big decision that involves a lot of dollars, and will put the town through some havoc. And, I see there's merchants out there, maybe they would like to speak to this, but I didn't have any agreement when I was the only one sitting in this seat many years ago. And things have changed, as Cheryl has said, people have gotten used to it. It's a very huge decision that we're embarking on, and it's a really big responsibility to put this out on our 21,000 residents. So it's something that maybe we want to consider, and I'll just put that out there for now.
Wait, so Diane, are you suggesting not to take the recommendations from the PACS committee tonight? But to instead put a referendum out in the election in November? I just want to be
possibly
clear.
at the June primary. I just want to put it out there. It's something that maybe we should take a pause and think about. Should we do that?
Huh, okay.
Well, I personally believe that previous committees could not have consensus on this issue. And my understanding is, why don't we hear from some of the other committee members in terms of what their thoughts are for now.
Well, I ran on a campaign to address, some of the traffic issues in town, and I had a lot of frank discussions with town residents, merchants. In fact, I actually got involved in politics, 3 years ago because I felt badly for the merchants that were impacted by complete streets, and and again, I think that I want to state clearly that the intentions of complete streets were really good. I mean, I think that it was done with a good heart, and I appreciated what but in fact, what was accomplished, I don't know if you could dispute that there's tremendous traffic. And I would say that a lot of the fixes that are in the PAC's proposal are very common sense. This morning, I want to thank Bobby Engel for walking through the plan. For me and Deputy Mayor Prupus, we walked through every step of the plan, and I want to tell you, I think it'll actually make the town a lot safer. Part of the plan is moving the crosswalk by Dunkin' Donuts, which terrifies me that somebody will get run over there. It would move that. It would add parking. It would add 16 spaces of parking. I think it would give us that right-hand turn by the movie theater. And as everybody knows, when there's ambulances and emergency vehicles that are trying to get by, right now there's very often a very big backup for these emergency vehicles, and I think to some extent that would be addressed. For a host of reasons, I would be supportive of this common sense fix. I mean, I'm still have an open mind if residents want or merchants want to address this. I've been assured that some of the work potentially could be done at night. The work would be done over the summer during quiet months. But I would say from my experience and again from my election where this was clearly stated as part of my platform, that this is something that I certainly would want to do, in conjunction with the town and trying to be very considerate to residents and merchants.
I know that there's a bunch of other PACS committee members in the room, and I would love to hear from them. I don't know if that's a possibility tonight, or if this when they get the opportunity to share with us, is that possible? To
Yeah.
open the floor for more public, if anybody else in the public would like to come speak now?
Yes, and I would also just like to cite the referendum that was conducted back in 2018 under the tutelage of Diane Eglow and when she was mayor. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was Cheryl. That there was 1,221 participants.
It wasn't a referendum.
No,
No,
it was
it was a
a survey, excuse me, not a referendum, it was a survey. I have, thank you. And 74% of the participants advocated for the removal of flex parking. So why don't we, at this juncture...
May I speak?
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
So I find it rather ironic, as we sit up here, that the concept of a referendum hasn't come from you, Mayor, since when we ran, that's all I heard. When the two of us ran in 2017, we were finishing up an already approved small piece of the streets project, and all I heard was referendum, how could we do it without a referendum? And here, you want to start a whole new construction project, and I didn't hear the concept of you going out to the public for a referendum. So I find it ironic, but not surprising. I understand that this committee was formed to make changes. So I think one of the things we should look at, I would like to hear from the engineer. I think hearing from committee people isn't enough. This committee was formed to make changes. That's one of the things that you run on as well, to make these changes to the streets. So I think we have to start with the concept that that was the purpose of this committee. So I'd like to hear from the engineer. One of the things in the report, he says, the township should anticipate impacts to downtown retail in the vicinity of the studied intersection, similar to the impacts seen during the Millburn Downtown Street Improvements Project. So one of the issues that we had, and our merchants would at least when I was mayor and they were screaming about it, was that the impact to the merchants during the construction was significant. And they claim and said that changes were made, people stopped coming to their shops because of the construction. So do they want this construction? They may not. I'd like to hear from them as well, but I really do think a referendum, if it was good for the goose, it certainly should be good for the other goose. Long-term impacts of the project. Longer pedestrian crossings. So one of the things that this report by your expert, your consultant is,
Sorry, he got caught. Sorry, I didn't mean to that, Cheryl.
one of the impacts is it's safer. The streets are safer, and yes, there's much more traffic, and it should be mitigated. We need to figure that out. But longer pedestrian crossings. By increasing the corner radii at this intersection and adding an additional turn lane, crosswalk distances for pedestrian crossings traversing the eastern, western, and southern legs of the intersection are increased, resulting in increased pedestrian exposure to vehicular traffic. What does that mean? What is that going to mean? What is the engineer going to tell us that means? I think just deciding based on this report and some paper isn't enough for us to decide, yes, move forward, don't move forward. Higher vehicle turning speeds, increasing the corner radii dimensions on the southeast and southwest corners of the intersection would result in higher maximum vehicle turning speeds for the eastbound and northbound right turn movements. Higher vehicle speeds, what does that mean? Does that mean more likelihood of a person getting hit? Perhaps. I don't know. So I think sitting here today, we don't have enough information to say yay or nay to move forward. The other question I have, and I really have concern about it, and that's the dollars. We know, when I was, the one meeting I missed when I was mayor, and I was overseas while my husband was sitting Shiva, the rest of the committee decided to send out to vote to have the flex parking removed. We got two bids. One was a valid bid, one was an invalid bid. The valid bid was for $500,000, or probably closer to $460,000, $20,000 a parking spot. The proposed information here says that the whole, from A to Z, the cost of this project will be $440,000. I find that incredible. I don't know where these numbers come from, but we know for a fact that the invalid bid was $250,000. So whatever the number is, it's going to be at least $150,000 more than they're saying, and probably a lot more than that. What does our public want to spend on this? Are they willing to spend $500,000 on the project? Are they willing to spend $750,000? And maybe the answer is yes, but I think we have to hear from them. I don't think we can at this point say, yeah, let's put out some papers, let's get construction documents, let's go forward. I just don't think you have enough information. The fact that it's a recommendation of a committee without having your engineer here or anybody else to speak to this, I don't think it's fair to ask us to do that.
But tonight, we're talking.
Tonight was just a initial overview to discuss formulating a commitment, if desired, to look at the necessary work that would have to be done. By no means are we moving forward with the proposal. The purpose of this evening is to look at a potential step forward. It is by no means making the step. It is merely the initiation of a first step forward to see whether or not this is viable and whether or not there is consensus. So, at this,
And then when the engineer, well, that's plan, like, the engineer is set to come or planned to come to present at the next meeting. I think that's important to say, right?
yes.
So if that wasn't overlooked at all, so that they changed, and I was on the committee, so maybe I'm not the best to speak to this, but if you want to speak to the change of the engineer, or
You can.
if another
Yeah.
committee member wants to speak to it.
Well,
I didn't hear that the engineer was coming at the next meeting.
no,
But can we, before that, I'd like to talk 2 more points before we get like into the, so the Dunkin' Donuts, there's a very quick solution that should have been from the beginning. The same blinking light that there's 2 on Main Street and 1 by G and Marco and Oxenhorn. That is about $1,000, how much did you say that was, Alex? $1,000?
no,
No, how much? The blinking light? 1,100.
no.
11,000. Okay, so that is something that I'm surprised that wasn't put in when all these years we've been talking about that.
You didn't bring it up last year. What do you mean you weren't surprised?
I'm
What are you
talking about putting a blink.
Right,
Tara,
but-
excuse me, I'm speaking.
Well, I'm gonna interrupt you for a second.
Well, I prefer you don't.
But I'm
I let-
going to, because you had a whole last year to bring up this option. Like,
Tara,
Diane.
please.
But no, you
I
did. You
thought
had a
I-
whole year last
Okay,
year.
I'm not gonna speak
to-
if you're gonna do
okay,
that, Tara.
That's okay. You had a whole
I'll speak
year to
when you're
bring it
done.
up last year. It's like now you're gonna bring it up.
Yes,
Why didn't you
actually-
bring it up last year? I
Actually,
want to know what that,
Tara,
like that.
I'm not gonna engage in this kind of like childishness with you. We never, for some reason, and I can't say why, as these blinking lights were being put up on Main Street by G and Marco, it never came up. It is such a faster, simpler, less invasive than moving the crosswalk at Dunkin' Donuts. And yeah, I don't know why we never brought it up last year. But that is something that could be done within a week. Order it, put that blinking light up. I was there today with a friend from Dunkin' Donuts after I saw Carl, and she actually loves where it's placed. She just feels unsafe because cars, including cop cars and whatever, don't stop. If that blinking light was there, that would be a really quick, inexpensive fix. Now, a lot less than construction. Now, as far as the other thing is,
Diane, you were the
you're
committee
right.
chair.
You're
So
absolutely right, but
I
you know what,
find
we
it-
all tend to change our minds, Jackie and Richard, and our minds change, and it is such a big decision to do this, and I think that we have to take a pause, and if it could go out to a referendum.
Okay, we heard you. I think we need to open this up to like other people now.
Well, I have a comment to make.
You want to take a pause, and you both want to do referendums, right?
Well,
Is
can I
that-
make a comment? My understanding is that there are no referendums during primary election years. So really, if that's the case, really what you're saying is that we shouldn't do anything for another year or two. So if there's no referendums in primary election years, it really means that the town has to suffer with
In
all
primary election years or at the June primary?
at the June
So there
primary.
could be an election, are you getting a text about that? Or there can be an election, there can be a primary in November.
This is.
Well, I'm
This is
just telling you
someone ruling.
I'm just telling you my understanding is that there can't be a referendum in the
Oh,
June
in
election.
June, okay.
All right,
Thank
my-
you for the
that-
enlightenment.
You're welcome. And the other
Let
thing I
Jackie open
understand,
this up.
Yeah.
and the other thing I understand is that in your
I
PAX
know, but
committee,
they
which
know.
you chaired,
Mm-hmm.
that no one objected to the findings. Is that the case?
I've been
Did
reading
you
a report.
support, did you support
I've
it?
changed my mind, Richard. We're all known to change our minds.
Okay,
We are.
at this point, I'd like to open it up for public comment on this issue, and please come to the lectern. Thank you.
Hi, Marilee Reesbeck, 91 Whittingham Terrace, Millburn. I am a member of the PACTS committee, and I don't know how much I can share or can't share, so stop me if I say something that's inappropriate. We had a meeting last week, and we discussed all the options and the position of the committee, and I am a little surprised to hear Committeewoman Eglo come out and indicate that she wants a referendum at this point, considering that we discussed this ad nauseum in the meeting, and that was not on the agenda. I'm a little, also, would like to comment on the irony that Committeewoman Burston mentioned. If we want to talk about irony and talks about a referendum, that you're supporting a referendum after being the primary person that knocked it down when you were the mayor. So that I'm a little concerned, a little surprised that now you're advocating for that. Now, as a former committee person, Tillotson said several years ago that the elections, that is the referendum, okay? So we have 4 people sitting up here now that were elected because they advocated for changes to complete streets. Diane, Jackie, Tara, and now Richard. All 4 of you ran on platforms to fix the problems with what we are suffering with in the downtown. So, and in our committee, we did talk about whether we needed to get input from the public, and we certainly talked about maybe some informational sessions or whatever to talk, especially this new idea about the parking lot, which is a terrific idea with all of these new spots. So I'm a little confused about why we would advocate, Diane, for a referendum at this point, and I wonder about the motivation, frankly. So as a member of PACS and as a citizen of this community, I think enough is enough. And I also want to say that former Mayor Burstein was the person that led the charge to remove the remaining funding of $2 million plus that would have helped us to correct these problems. So I don't want to hear that we don't have the taxpayer money to do this. We had the money, it was returned, it should not have been returned, and we need to fix some of these problems. And what the plan that we've been talking about in the PACS committee is not an overly aggressive plan. We hashed through numerous ideas. These are sensible, really common sense ideas to try and fix some of the pain that the residents and the downtown merchants have been suffering with. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak on the topic? Please come forward.
Richard Footer, 333 Millburn Avenue. First, I have a question. It was reported by Ms. Burstein, $20,000 the space at the flex parking to remove it. Did that include moving the storm drains to the curb and then restoring it to blacktop? And if so, can the storm drains stay where they are, remove the flex parking, and flume and pitch to the storm drains where they are?
That's above my pay grade.
Good. Okay. I think this whole thing with the flex parking, I don't know many people that like it. I personally feel that if you scale back the bump outs, restore the roadway to 2 lanes instead of 1, let the emergency vehicles flow, see how the flow is, perhaps the flex parking may become less objectionable and could be another phase to attack further down. The crosswalk at Dunkin' Donuts, something's definitely got to be done. Maybe the entrance to this parking lot out here could help fix that. I don't know. But I don't see this being as difficult and as expensive if you don't have to move the storm drains. I see the big expense being reducing the bump outs, because at that point, when they move the light, they move the electric out. So now that has to be moved back. That's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lissa Sutton, 75 Mountain View Road. Little disappointed seeing the 4 people we elected up here now having a little bit of a tiff upon the subject. When they put in complete streets, many of us were here every week fighting over and saying, stop, pause, let's relook at this. How much is this really costing? I mean, Mayor Burstein at the time put that last piece down by Wells Fargo. We didn't even know the cost of that. Actually, to this day, I've never truly seen the cost of it. I heard it was $1 million when we were opening the Washington School. Go, put it in. Put it in there. Now we're going to build an apartment building down. It doesn't make sense. It just was fiscally irresponsible. It's wrong. We need to undo it in the most responsible and fiscally responsible way. It needs to be done. I've seen a woman in a wheelchair getting out from the flex parking onto Millburn Ave because there's a drop. I've seen a woman fall and break her ankle. I've seen hundreds of cars hit the planters, hit the bollards. This flex parking, forget about it being stupid, which it is, it's dangerous. It's discriminating against people who have disabilities. It's extremely disappointing that they used Millburn as a guinea pig for the stupidest way and most dangerous way to pull into a parallel parking spot. It's bad. It's got to go. I don't know if we should do it at night. I don't know if we should do it 50% at a time. It's got to be done. However, when we're talking about the removal of it and how much that's going to cost, how about you need a special blade to remove the snow for the flex parking? Does everybody in here know that? Everybody who lives here, we're paying. We have to have a special rubber blade to remove the snow. And then we, as a township, said, you know what? We'll do it because the county's not going to do it because it's just too ridiculous to plow that with a regular plow. So there were so many implications of this flex parking. It has to be removed. I completely support the removal. I myself walked around this, what did you call it? A questionnaire
where
Survey.
yeah, survey,
Yes.
what that Mayor Burstein put it at the time, then called it invalid. Almost every single person I handed it out to and asked to fill it out, and that I picked up on my own time, said to me they did not like the flex parking. It hurt the town. It didn't make sense. We have to do something. It would be irresponsible if we don't. That's just me as a resident. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer Duckworth, 82 Linden Street. I just want to say that the statistics that have been put forth about people getting hit by cars, children going to the hospital, teachers from the middle school getting hit by cars, those numbers have reduced to, and I don't have the statistics because they're not readily available to us, but the statistics, I would like to know what those numbers are and what you're sacrificing by getting rid of the bump outs that have, and the turns that have prevented people from getting hit by cars. And so when you're doing your analysis, you're asking your engineer these questions, just ask him how many people are gonna get hit by cars because of these changes that are being made. I'm not talking about the flex parking. I'm just talking about the people getting hit by cars. So Alex, we've asked a number of times for the numbers of before the bump outs and the reduction of the lanes were put in, how many people were getting hit by cars and how many people are now getting hit by cars. And that was what it was for, and that was what it was put in for. If you want to increase traffic, make the speeds go back to what they were before, and having people going to the hospital, that can be what happens. Make sure when you do what you're doing that you're not going to make people be put in that position.
So in response to that, the crash data history provided in the report by the engineer is that before, in the years January 1, 2014 through December 31, 2015, and the after is January 1, 2017 through 12/31, 2018. The rear end crashes went from 9 before to 7 after. Side swipes were equal, 8 and 8. Fixed object before 3, after 7, which is one of the big issues with the reason they want to reduce bump outs, among other things, but that's one of them. Pedestrian, however, before was 7, after was 1. Backing, I guess backing out or something, 5 before, 1 after. Struck parked vehicles, 3 before, 2 after. Right angle crash, 4 before, 0 after, and other, 3 before, 1 after. No fatal crashes before, after. Injury crashes, 8 before, 2 after. Property damage crashes, even with everything said and done, 34 before, 25 after.
So 42 to 27 is the total.
Yeah, but I think that one of the things I'd like to highlight is that we wouldn't be taking out the bump outs. I mean, we would be reducing a couple of them, but you get the benefit of both worlds. You have the benefit of seeing how traffic it is now and trying to revise complete streets or the current structures so it works better.
Right,
You know,
so that's why you want to ask the engineer these
well,
questions.
but that's what the whole
Right.
point of tonight is. The point is that we would engage with an engineer. We have ideas of what we think will make it better, but nobody is suggesting to rip everything out and undo everything. You'd still have the benefit of the bump outs. The question is, can we tweak this to make it work better? And from what I see, there's a very good chance of having the benefit of both, of having the benefit of the bump outs, even though they'd be slightly smaller, and having the safety, having some of the safety features of what were already installed. And in terms of spending money, I mean, they spent $6 million on this project going in, so if we have to tweak it, if it costs some money to tweak it, I don't understand what our reservation is, spending some money to make it better.
Can you go over the timeline, Jackie, of what tonight puts into play?
So the timeline is that initially that should we reach consensus this evening, that we would be moving forward with a preliminary plan with an engineer to look at these 5 items. The reduction of the bump outs, let me read them so it.
Left that timeline in my mailbox. Yeah. I'm just gonna get that timeline from my mailbox.
To revise and reduce the bump-out radii on both the southeast corner by Kung Fu Tea and the southwest by Design Hub. The reinstatement of a dedicated right turn lane on Millburn Avenue, approaching Main Street, and a revision of the flex parking to traditional curb parking, an alternate location of the Dunkin' Donuts crosswalk, and to add 16 parking spaces on adjacent to Town Hall Plaza.
No, I meant this timeline.
So,
What
what would you
tonight
like?
starts. I think the public is entitled to know what.
Well, the timeline of tonight is basically to begin the preliminary discussion and make a recommendation and task our business administrator to move forward with a preliminary plan to develop the scope of the construction and develop some cost estimates.
And how does it move forward? Because ideally, this was for July 1st, so backing it out, tonight starts this
Tonight
process.
would hopefully start the process of looking at this from a strategic standpoint, moving forward, working with a traffic engineer, our design department, looking to do this as cost effectively as possible, developing some cost estimates, having public engagement between now and February 18th, looking at nighttime construction, looking at valet parking, anything that's going to engage the community to ensure our participation going forward.
Right, so if there's consensus tonight, you would engage with a traffic engineer along with our township engineer, so that would take some funding, correct?
So I'm a little confused. Why are we using the engineer who prepared this report?
You want to speak to that?
So, sorry, I didn't mean that to be, but I think the thing is that the PAX committee was working with an engineer last year, to sort of preliminarily go through these items, concerns, issues that were brought forth within that group. I think that sort of anything that the committee decides on to dive deeper into on any one or all of these issues, the township had currently gone out to an RFP for a traffic engineer on call, which has been a practice, but that they would come in and then be able to work on a project sort of from.
Okay, so I actually, Jackie, I really appreciate, by the way, just so you'll know, I don't advocate a referendum. I just thought it was ironic that you weren't advocating one, that's all. But
I think we had 4 referendums. Diane's first election. Wait, let me respond to your referendum.
I want to request something with respect to what you're doing. I really think that before we send somebody off to do drawings and things like that, I think we should have somebody come and have an engineer come and talk to us a little bit about what this means. What does it mean when you're extending the crosswalks? What does that impact? Because it may be that we say, okay, let's get rid of the flex parking, nobody can stand it. Let's do something else. But I think you're asking us to go forward with something without having appropriate information.
The purpose of the evening was to look at these 5 recommendations from a committee that has spent a year looking at what the public has shared and what was the consensus from, not only from the township people, but a merchant and as well as an engineer, as well as 2 members of the township committee. So this was their recommendation.
Right.
We're merely here this evening to discuss moving forward with a potential plan to see whether this makes business sense. We are not spending any money. We are merely engaging to take it to the potential next step of looking at this comprehensive plan, which is what 4
So
people.
what's the next step?
the next step would be to task Alex with these five, with a comprehensive plan that would look at addressing these five elements. That's it, just to look at it, to see if it makes business sense from a township perspective, a community perspective,
A safety perspective.
and a community engagement
And a
perspective.
traffic
Because
perspective.
the one thing that I can hear again and again, sadly, no one comes to Millburn anymore. They can't stand the parking. They don't come, they're not here, and I find that a little tragic, quite frankly. And I think that this plan is the first step in addressing some of those issues. I recognize that retail has changed and the Amazon effect and experiential retailing. But I do know also that when the paper mill is in session and the restaurants are open and lively, there is a renewed enthusiasm. And I think I am hoping that this initiative would begin to address that and bring that sense of community and engagement that I find lacking right now.
I have one thing to say, I'm sorry. This would, if there's consensus tonight, it would task Alex to work with traffic engineer along with Township Engineering Department to put together construction documents for agreed upon scope and develop cost estimates. So that is pushing this agenda ahead. So if I am feeling pause, I'm entitled to do that. And I'm speaking for 21,000 people, 1/5 of us make that decision. It's a very, very big decision,
Right, and-
so.
And I'm also confused by what you're saying, Jackie, because are we saying, let's go out and do construction drawings?
We're
Okay,
just,
so that's where my confusion is. I'm not understanding what you're tasking Alex to do.
Well, I think conceivably, the committee, hearing the recommendations of the PACS group,
Right,
can task
right,
me,
I understand.
whatever. I mean, if it's
A
to
consensus
do
of
it,
us,
right,
right.
if it's, right, consensus view decides that additional work should be done to bring an engineer in and have a conversation, or if there's additional work that should be done to develop these concepts a little bit further, whatever that may be. I think the idea behind the statement and the things like that were to make sure that that the committee understood that next steps would evolve, and you can determine what those next steps are.
And then on February 18th, introduction of funding ordinance. So things do start moving very quickly, because it's a very.
Well, if in fact we want to be true to the committee's timeframe and the recommendations that were nearly unanimous of the committee, including yourself, we agreed that we wanted to do this construction in the summer. That would be our expectation.
Can we
So-
do this? Like, I think we have consensus. I'd like to move forward. Would you, Richard, like to move forward? Jackie?
Well,
Wait,
wait, hold on, before, wait.
We're not even voting on, this is new business.
Okay, sorry.
So-
We can't, I just told we can't move forward. There's people want to
No, I
talk.
didn't say.
No, it's
Why don't we
okay.
have some?
No, I know. I was just trying to wrap it up. Sorry, guys.
I just want to add one thing, and that's that the biggest shocker for me from this PACS committee was the engineer that we were working with told us that much of what we tried to accomplish to improve safety in the town, pedestrian safety, could have been accomplished with changing the timing of the lights. And we spent how many millions of dollars? So from a safety, if you want to talk about safety, we do need to maintain the safety, but we can operate under some of those recommendations in terms of, from my recollection, to allow pedestrians a longer period of time to start across the street before allowing the cars to move forward. So I think one of the things that we need to address now is what's happening to the vehicles in town, which are being stymied as far as trying to get through town and get to the places where they need to go. Thank you.
Hi, Matthew Duckworth, 82 Linden Street. I just want to add, I think you're looking through the wrong end of the telescope. You're so focused on complete streets. I think this township needs a comprehensive plan that this is a component to. Spending taxpayer dollars, I agree with the letter you received, again on a project that we caused so much disruption doesn't seem like a solution. I think a more broad-based plan to address traffic flow and safety, pedestrian safety, bike safety, car safety, truck movement is probably a better investment in your time. This longer-term plan could use as a framework to determine what projects take priority. I'm not sure I understand that this is a priority based on any information I've heard in terms of where the funding should go. There could be more urgent needs, say near the high school, where there's abysmal kind of crosswalks, or similar problems near the new parking garage. So I would just encourage you to, think more broadly about the topic that is you're looking at, as opposed to just this small piece of Millburn that you're looking at. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks.
Thank you.
Vicky Powell, 343 Millburn Avenue, Shala. My mom's had a business here for 35 years. I was a resident here for 25 years. I've heard one person say, what about the merchants? We don't have a voice in any of this, and we are taxpayers too. And it's going to be disrupting our business. If you're going to do the 5 things, are you going to do the 5 things? Are you going to talk to us about it first? Are we going to have discussions? Because it sounds like everything's moving forward to get everything done and ready in July. But we're going to be a ghost town. There are people that want to come into this town. But they heard that this is a possibility to happen. They're not going to open up shop in here, and we're going to still have empty stores. We're not giving any consideration. It's getting bad, and it's not fair. The negative messaging is bad, and we just don't have a voice, and we need to be heard. I've never seen you come into my store. We've been here for 35 years. No one's talked to me. No one's walked into my store and asked how we feel about anything. No one's talked to Nadej from the book house and asked her how she feels. She's one of the newer merchants in town. We need to have a voice. You guys aren't asking us. And it's hurting our business. We're the ones that are suffering. No, I'm not leaving. I don't know where you heard that from. I'm still standing here. I'm going to be here. I have another business I'm opening in town. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
I mean, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Would you rather us not address traffic?
But why don't you ask us? No one's asked us.
Well, I'm asking you now.
No, why can't we do small fixes? Why do we have to do such massive things? Why don't we do smaller implementations? Like make instead of the one lane, make the 2 lanes. Right. Shave the turn radiuses. Right. I'm not saying don't do anything. It wasn't what we all expected to do. But do we have to do everything all at once? Can't we do smaller implementations before we do huge amounts that totally disrupt all our businesses again? We need help. We need people to think about us.
Right.
That's it's just.
I appreciate
It's just that.
We're here representing Nancy Stone, 10 Fielding Road, 266 Essex Street. We were all here as merchants, okay? And the fact of the matter is, nobody has come into our stores to ask our opinion. We suffered through the last round and shame on us, because we were involved. I know I was here for the meeting, and we were sold a bill of goods. What we got delivered was not exactly what was presented, and quite frankly, I'm not going down this route again. It's not happening again, because I will be as vocal as you were, and amen to you for waking up the light. So now you woke everybody up, and now we're going to be here to hold each one of you accountable, because all we have is different phrases with the same problem. So you all have to be mindful of the fact that as a business here also 25 plus years, this cannot happen the way it happened before. So you really need to be proactive, asking the community, whether it's a referendum, which I agree, I got to give you credit tonight, Diane, you were excellent. I like the way you're fighting back. People need to be proactive, having an open dialogue of communication. It cannot be one-sided. And as far as you're saying, about 50% of the referendum is voted, 50% didn't vote for them. So they have to address the whole entire community, not just 49.1% or not just 51%. You have to address the entire community. The Dunkin' Donuts issue, without a question of a doubt, is a problem. There's very significant issues, low-hanging fruit that can be addressed. $11,000 if that's what the blinking light and that could save a life, I'll pay for the light. How about that? But the bottom line is you need to be very active in communicating with all of us what's going on and not so underhanded about trying to get something accomplished and push it through like they did in the past. It's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. You have to be transparent. You have to move forward in a very transparent way, which is what you promised.
And Nancy, that's exactly why I was saying what I said this
What?
evening.
No, no. This is exactly why we're having this meeting, Nancy. And I
Okay,
can
great.
tell you that I sat there through the entire thing with you, and one of my biggest problems was the communication, and that
Yeah.
no one came in and told me. So I hear you, and I promise you that I will come into your store as much as you'll have me and let you know exactly
You're
what's
welcome
going on.
anytime.
Thank you,
I never
Nancy.
turned anybody away that is for Millburn.
I hear you.
So-
So I can promise all the merchants sitting in this room that it won't happen. If anything happens, it's not going to happen in the same way, because I know from the experience, and that's why I'm sitting here.
Well,
So and
it's
tonight
comforting
is
to
it.
hear, but we've been told that in the past, because when Ian Mount came into my
Nancy.
store to ask me to move the clock, and I said, over my dead body, is that clock gonna get moved? Okay, and then he came back the next day with a whole new plan, and all of a sudden, everything got redesigned so that the clock wouldn't move. Wow, what an earth-shattering experience in 24 hours. But if he didn't come into my store, and I didn't know, and people that know us and protect us in town didn't say, listen, you gotta tell them that they're thinking about moving the clock, okay, we wouldn't have known about it. So the fact of the matter is that those four corners on Essex and Main was redesigned because somebody came in and asked our opinion. And we were very vocal about it. And thank God it didn't move, because people, I know I look out my window every day and I look at it. So I think that things have to be done. Things were done incorrectly, but in all due process. We have Wells Fargo coming down the pike now. What's that going to do to traffic? So now we're going to rip everything out. Then we're going to have the traffic at Wells Fargo. We're going to have the traffic at Saks Fifth Avenue coming down the pike when they start construction there. We have a big, big agenda for Millburn to accomplish. And to start battling this out now, I think is a little premature. I think we really need to take a step back, take a deep breath, and just fix. If we could immediately look at that Dunkin' Donuts situation, let's do that. As far as the bump outs, I agree, too big. But does that have to be done this summer and rip everything all out for $500,000? As a taxpayer, I say no for right now. No for right now. And that's my position. I'm supportive of what you want to accomplish, but it has to be done in a different manner. I would rather be spending my evenings with my family. That's all. And I'm sure all of you would as well. So visit the stores, ask the opinions, because I think you're going to get a different perspective.
Thank you for saying that. I also just want to say to you that I'm very sensitive to what you said. And
To what?
I'm very sensitive to what you said about the communication to the merchants, and I happen to agree. I think last time there was no communication or very limited communication. And I think everything from what I've read and heard in terms of this plan is very, very targeted in terms of making things better. When you look at where the movie theater is.
Are you
and
taking into account the Wells Fargo construction? Are you taking into account?
Yeah, actually, with Wells Fargo.
With the
instead
limited
of,
time that you've had in your seat, you've been able to address all of this, so?
I'm not addressing. No, I
Oh,
haven't.
okay.
I'm just giving you my opinion.
Okay.
And I was elected. One of the reasons I was elected is that I promised my constituents that I would address
Well,
this.
Rudder was a big contributor to your campaign.
Okay,
so I'm
let's
sure he
not
wants
devolve,
the
let's
floor.
not devolve into,
All I
into
can tell you
a,
is,
But Nancy, I would tell
Let's
you
not-
that
please.
the 5 targeted items that they want to do will make it safer, and you'll still have the benefit.
so if you have something to say.
does anybody else have any additional public comment? Please come to the lectern.
Can you just tell me who's on this committee? I was just curious.
And who's the merchant on the committee?
Carl.
I,
Carl, you're on this committee?
I am
Jeez.
Well, I'm happy to provide you with a list of, it would be on the website?
That would
Yeah.
be great.
It's on the website?
No,
Just
Well,
be
or I'll
transparent.
email
Just
it to
be
you.
transparent.
Yeah.
we'll make sure you get it. Absolutely.
Just be transparent.
Good evening, David Hawes, 320 Millburn Avenue. You know what I find very interesting? I came up to in front of this committee a couple years ago when this was all going down, and your last comment out of the meeting, and this meeting, which I said, timings of lights. I came to this committee with pictures and handed it to every one of you and said, you guys lied to us, okay? You guys put GPS timing on the lights, and you did not interconnect the lights. That was part of exactly what was supposed to be done, and that's not what was done. Okay, as an engineer, and I'm going to say something that's not very nice, but the traffic engineer that did the job sucks. Okay? All right? Anybody that understands traffic engineering is an art. Okay? It's a very detailed science, but it's an art. Okay? I work with traffic engineers every day. Okay? And what is going on in this town, you guys should be ashamed of yourselves. Okay? The traffic engineers don't understand. Calming. Okay, come on, come down this road, let the green go, stop them at Lackawanna. It's very simple what needs to be fixed. Okay? The town should spend a little bit of money, okay, and small implementations of what's going on. Hire somebody to come out and change a traffic signal. You know what's embarrassing? What's embarrassing is that the left-hand turn signal in front of Starbucks was broken for like 2 weeks. You want to know why? Because the engineer that was hired chose this ridiculous traffic signal mount, okay, that the county couldn't even get, okay? I blame, okay, the engineer that did this, and I blame the contract documents that were signed, okay?
That was way before my...
I'm not blaming anybody. All I'm saying here is that you guys have to make sure that you're buying the right bill of goods that you want to buy, okay? Spend a few dollars and look at timings. Spend a few dollars and add some ped heads, some pedestrian signals around. Okay, but to look at a big picture here, you have to look at small changes. Then what's going to happen? In about another year, Millburn Ave over Main Street over 78 is going to be under construction. Okay, so how is that going to be affected? And then a year later, they're shutting down Morris Avenue in Springfield. Has any of that played a role? You guys have an opportunity here to bring people back through the town. It should be back through the town, okay, in a nice manner. Traffic calming, traffic engineering, okay? Once you lose people, they have to be detoured to come back to you. The town has an opportunity to bring people back through town. They should do it in a manner that is a calm manner, that is a manner that through signalization has the ability to keep the people walking through town, keep the pedestrians safe, but also keeping traffic moving in town.
Thank you.
Great job.
Lynn Ranieri, 94 Oakview Terrace. I'm one of the, what did you call us, ped head? I'm a ped head. I'm the pedestrian that walks through town every day. I've been doing that for many, many years, and I've watched the change. And I said in the beginning when Complete Streets was done, it is infinitely safer for me to walk through town now, with one big exception, and that is Wyoming Avenue. And I'm taking some slight exception to the timing of the lights, because I have been nearly killed, more times than I'd like you to know, because people just completely ignore the lights. When the pedestrian walking sign goes on, I start walking, and the people coming down Millburn Avenue turn left, and one of them was like literally this far and screaming at me that I was at fault when I had the pedestrian sign. And I've seen that left turn thing turn red, and they still just plow right on through. So I really would like to think that timing would help, but I'm afraid my gut says they just ignore that anyway. I would like input on this proposed second phase, if your hand is going into my wallet again to undo what your hand took out of my wallet the first time. I would like some input on this in whatever legal way we can do that. Okay? Thank you.
Alyssa Sutton again. The blinking lights that are over by Oxenhorn that we're referring to perhaps spending $11,000 to bring to Dunkin' Donuts. I live right there. I walk my dogs all the time there. They don't work. You can't see them. They're too far apart. It's 3 lanes. I see women with their babies. Press the button. They're waiting. Cars are plowing through. A suggestion, we actually can look at other places in America. They have the same problems we do. They are using big overhang blinking lights. It looks like a traffic light. You press it and it's blinking straight across the whole street. Maybe they'll see it. I don't know. I'm hoping maybe they will. But we actually don't have to reinvent the wheel here. We can actually look at places that are doing more innovative things, boxes in the middle, letting everybody cross at once and stopping all 4 lights at red and let everybody walk or diagonal. There are other ways to do this, but before we spend 11 grand to put 2 tiny blinking lights where people are distracted and don't stop, I'd sooner rather put a new exit and remove that remove the exit from turning into human beings.
Thank you. Yes. Bobby.
Jennifer Duckworth, 82 Linden Street. I just had 2 comments. One was Eric Anderson had talked a number of times about changing the timing of the lights and working with the county on Main Street coming south past the middle school and how it backs up. And that was talked about how we could let more people through to fill in the, and so the timing of the lights really, if we just looked at that, that's an easy thing. And then the other thing that I talked about with Tara and I would like people to explore is for residents to get some kind of a parking sticker for their cars, because I feel like if we just paid an annual fee to go into this building instead of paying for parking tickets at the police station, it would be a lot more respectful for residents who live here to just get a sticker and be part of the community. So I think that might help people to come here also to not get so many parking tickets.
That is Jennifer, I will tell you that is being explored.
Yeah.
Good
idea.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, on that.
My name is Robert Engel, and I work at 46 Main Street at the corner of Main Street and Millburn. My residence is 4 Gallo Way in Edison. I am a member of the PAX committee appointed by Mayor Eglo last year, and I am fully supportive of the plan as it's been represented. And I would like to see this pass tonight. I would urge every person, Miss Committeewoman Burstein, I don't think you're going to go with me tonight. Last time you gave me a compliment, a little bit of a compliment that you agreed with me.
I think that was at the planning board, though.
No, that was here.
Was here?
Yeah, that was here. That was here. But you said you were worried because you did agree with me. I want to say a little bit about the PAX committee that Mayor Eglo appointed. No, you're always a mayor.
I'm always a mayor.
You're
Oh,
always a
okay.
mayor.
Thank you.
That's my understanding of government.
So we have mayor,
You're always
mayor,
a
mayor.
judge, you're always a mayor, you're not always a committee person. But I think you're always a mayor. You're always a president. You're not always a senator, although the cable news calls you a former senator. I don't think that's correct. So the PAX committee, it was very enjoyable to me. And I thought we worked very well together. And someone that's not here tonight, but really is a subcommittee of one, is Rich Keller. And we have the residents of Millburn, the shopping district, town hall. Single-handedly, he put together a plan free of charge to the taxpayers that nets us out 16 parking spots. That's like great what he did for that committee.
I concur.
And very quiet, and he went off in his little subcommittee of one, and he came back with a plan, and it was, I think, we had broad consensus across the whole committee.
Where are the 16 spots gonna be?
Right near you, Nancy. Where? On Essex.
We nicknamed it the grassy knoll, but it's the The
Behind
area-
Town Hall.
Very close to you, Nancy.
It
Very close.
reconfigures Town Hall Plaza.
It's actually 19 spots. It nets out 16. I want to just close by saying I urge your support, each and every one of you. But I do think it's prudent to listen to the merchants and keep them involved in the process as much as possible. With that, I urge your support, each and every one of you, to move this process forward. I think there has been referendums, and it's been 4 elections, and the voters spoke very loudly. No merchants are here saying not to do. Very few merchants are saying not to do something. It's not working, but I think they need to be kept in the loop a lot more than last time. Thank you.
I'm like, yeah, but I'm. So. This is
Debbie
Town Hall.
Fox, 78 Mountain View Road. I just want to add, as someone who is at that intersection of Whittingham and Millburn Avenue multiple times a day, first of all, I don't even know what these lights are that you're talking about. I don't even see them. That intersection terrifies me as a driver. Because when I come up to that intersection at Whittingham to make a right on Millburn Avenue, I have to worry about the people crossing Whittingham, I have to worry about the people crossing Millburn Avenue, and I'm just like paralyzed there. I don't know if I should go, not go. And as far as Duncan goes, I never have an issue there. Duncan, people are crossing one way, and you stop, and you make sure. So I don't think adding a light at Duncan is really gonna make a difference, because it certainly has not helped me at Whittingham and Millburn Avenue.
Stephanie Malios, Millburn Township. I want to thank everybody on the Township Committee for taking the time and carefully evaluating what's best for the community. I really appreciate your volunteer work. It's a big job, and it's not one that I want, so I'm glad that you're doing it. This morning, as I was driving down Millburn Avenue to go to Orange Theory, there was a woman in the crosswalk, and I'm not sure, it was after Whittingham, I think by the old Oxenhorn Library, and I stopped for her. And of course, the 2 lanes to the left of me did not stop. And finally, one stopped halfway in the crosswalk, and the poor woman was terrified to step into the crosswalk. What a lot of people don't remember is that all of Millburn Avenue used to be that speedway. So from Main Street going towards what used to be S. Marsh, I'm dating myself, but that charming store that had to leave. But it used to be 3 lanes of the Autobahn, and people were driving really 50 miles an hour. And what they're doing after they get past Main Street is they're accelerating and gunning it, and it is amazing that no one has died. So as you're working on the first phase, which I heartily agree needs some tweaking, I'd love to see a move forward to do something with the second phase, because it's really scary. If you have lunch outside a Cafe Monet, you can't even talk because it's so loud with all the car engines revving up to try and speed to get I don't know where. But anyway, that's my 2 cents, and I thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any other comments? So let me ask my committee members how they would like to proceed and what their thoughts are regarding this initiative.
I definitely think we should be proceeding and looking at something. I do think it's premature to say, let's go forward with what the committee has recommended, but I do think we have to look at it. I think that there's a committee recommendation, but I think we have to go further than that. I think, and I really do want to hear from some ideas from the engineer, as well as really look at this a little bit more, get some real idea of what the cost is. And I'm not saying don't spend money, so I don't want people to misunderstand. And in case anybody doesn't know, I am not a fan of flex parking. That's terrible to test.
Did people hear that? She's not a fan of flex parking.
I don't like it, but I just don't think we should be rushing into it. I agree with the merchants that we've heard tonight. We have to really do this slowly and thoughtfully, and perhaps with a bigger picture in mind.
Did we not at the last meeting put on the agenda to hire or to look into going after RFP for a town planner, like to look at the downtown? Isn't that something we were talking about doing?
Not publicly.
Yeah, not publicly.
No. But didn't we discuss that?
Not
No,
publicly.
Not
that
publicly.
there was nothing done at that meeting.
Yeah, but we are,
But we
we
need
are
a-
moving to look at to look at the entire town as a comprehensive, and to create a comprehensive plan that is in
That's certainly
discussions with the planning board, and like, we know that there are problems, and not just in phase one, but the entire town. That's why like phase two and phase three were once talked about. So there's a ton of work to be done. We have to start somewhere. I think, I'm just gonna go on because it looks like it's my turn to talk now. I think we need to start somewhere. I think that I think the PACS committee worked really hard, and we should take the recommendations that were put forth. We should get an engineer in here for the next meeting to really explain all of this to us. I think that the communications with the merchants needs to start. It started tonight in all of this, and we need to figure out a system that they know what we're talking about and thinking about, and that there's an open door for them to come into town hall and talk to any of us and express their concerns, and just what you want to, like, I didn't know how people would feel if I walked into your shop. To be honest, like, I didn't always appreciate it when people would walk into my shop in the middle of the day when I was like working. And I encourage you all, like, you can come and talk to me, or even when we end here, come up to me and be like, it's okay for you to come into my shop, and I will come into your shop daily to talk to you about all this. I just wanted to get permission first before doing that. So that's all said now. So I think that we need to move the recommendations forward. So I would like to do that and get the engineer in here and continue the conversation, and yes, done.
I would like to just thank the PACS committee, and Bobby Engel in particular, and Rich Keller, and all the hardworking members of the committee. I gotta tell you, I took the time this morning at 7 o'clock to walk through the plan, and I really think we're gonna gain parking. I think that we're gonna make the town safer. I think the Dunkin' Donuts fix, I think the right-hand turn by the movie theater is critical in terms of emergency vehicles. And I think we would do this in conjunction with the new engineer. From what I've seen, I think it would be a really good thing for the town. I think it would also help with the traffic. I also want to add in that we had conversations with our police chief, who was excellent. I think part of the component of this is that we have to crack down on aggressive driving, and part of the thing that the last plan never did is we never really had a focus on cracking down on aggressive driving, police presence in the downtown, and I'm pretty certain that that is going to change in the future as part of our efforts here. So with that being said, I would also like to move it forward.
Okay, so at the last meeting, Rich Keller actually, who did come up with an amazing plan, because we all know that it doesn't function what was left at Town Hall Plaza. So he came up with this great plan that does net 16 spots, and it makes you able to actually use what Town Hall Plaza was intended to be, not have to go all the way around to Duncan Street, which once Wells Fargo was built out, that would be good. He was not in favor of moving forward as much in the downtown area, so he did speak of that. Let me finish. He did speak of that at the meeting, and the fire chief was there, and I asked him again, I said, Chief, tell me, has there been a problem with the fire trucks? And he said this at the meeting, no. The trucks are able to make the left when they need to, or whatever route. So as far as I know, there has not been any data saying that there has been a delay in response time because after the construction. So for these reasons, and because I think this is a very, very large decision that's put upon us, I'm going to ask to put a pause on this until we can have an engineer at the next meeting, because I'm not ready to introduce funding to move forward until we know what's
Nobody's
next to be.
talking about funding.
We are not talking about funding.
We're just talking about having the engineer.
Just to start the plan.
All this
It starts the
is
timeline,
to
Tara.
look at these 5 options that you recommended, that you were part of the planning and steering committee that voted to move forward with this. So I find it a little incredulous that you don't feel that way this evening.
I guess I spent a lot more time looking over all the documents again, Jackie, so.
So Jackie, so let me,
So this is what if I may.
let me just make sure, so we're gonna have the engineer come and we're gonna be able to question it. We're not asking him to do anything with respect to documents at this point, right?
No. The idea is to look at these 5 things, look at the feasibility, look what makes sense, and then make some business decisions moving forward that's what's in the best interest of all parties concerned.
We're just having an engineer, so it'll be cost money to have an
Everything
engineer
costs-
come and talk to us.
everything
We're
costs money.
hiring an engineer anyway, right?
Yes.
Correct.
So-
We need a new engineer.
Yeah. Did we choose somebody?
No, I mean, it'll be on for the committee's agenda next year.
We can't have somebody until we hire him.
Oh, I think we're.
No, I think you can.
Can task them preliminarily with the, yes.
We are?
Yeah.
So I would suggest that we look at these 5 things and look at them separately as well as complementarily as well as cohesively, and then with an engineering eye, and then let us look and see what makes business sense.
Yep, understand.
No, there's no vote.
There's not a vote, it's just, we're just having consensus to like move it forward, there's no
Motion to move
vote.
it forward?
But we are, it looks like there's consensus.
Consensus.
So, come, in 2 weeks, we'll have an engineer here, right?
Correct.
Look, I'm not, I don't, it's
We
easy
hope
to
to.
commit to things, I just wanna make sure that we will do the work necessary to make a presentation to the committee at the earliest,
Perfect, as soon as possible.
as soon as possible.
The earliest
Yeah.
meeting possible.
Great.
Great.
Motion to adjourn?
The-
Motion to adjourn.
Wait.
Sorry, second. Wait, hold
we
on, I don't think
need a
Jackie's ready
motion
yet.
to- We don't need a motion to, no? Okay. No?
No, there's consensus from the committee to have.
May I have a motion to adjourn the
Second.
meeting?
Second. Second.
Yes. Christine